everyone, and welcome to another episode of Coding Bytes. I am Daphne, an educator at Coding Lab. And in today's episode of Coding Bytes, we'll be exploring more about motion and how we can create the illusion of it by making our characters look like they're actually moving in real life by moving our background. To get a better idea of what we'll be creating today, let's head on to a quick preview of today's project. So this is the game that we'll be working on today. In this game of Dino Race, we have our little dinosaur friend who is trying to jump over hurdles to finish his race. Every time he crosses a hurdle, he'll gain a point. So do you realize that our dinosaur friend over here doesn't exactly run forward, and it's actually the background behind him that is moving? So this gives the illusion that our dino friend is actually running really far on the track. So now that you've seen the game, let's head into our Scratch account and click on the project link in the description box below. So this is the remix project right over here. And in this remix project, our dino friend already has his hurdles and he already is able to jump. So all that's left right here is a nice background to accompany him. So to do that, let's click on the remix button and begin coding. Before we begin, I've already hidden our dino sprite as well as our hurdles. And this is just to make it easier for us to see and to code our background sprite later on. So feel free to do the same for your own code. Now, normally we would add our background as a backdrop like what you're seeing on the screen over here. But if we head into the coding of our backdrop, we can see that there aren't any motion blocks available here. And this prevents us from allowing our backdrop to move. Sprites, on the other hand, like our dinosaur friend over here, do have motion blocks. And motion blocks like this allow our sprites to move on the screen. So in order for us to allow our background to move, rather than having a backdrop which has no motion blocks and cannot move, we will be creating a sprite to act as our background. So let's first start by creating a new sprite. As we want to be able to customize and paint our own sprite, be sure to click on the paintbrush icon that appears right above the Choose a Sprite icon. All right, now that we're here, let's try and create a nice background for our sprites. There are many tools here that we can use to customize our background. The paintbrush tool here, for example, allows us to freehand many lines. And the circle tool over here helps us to create circles by clicking and dragging it. We also have a line tool over here that helps us to draw really straight lines. For our background over here, we are mainly going to be making use of our rectangle tool over here that helps us to create rectangles. So let's first start by using a nice blue rectangle in order to create the sky. Next, we can also throw in a green rectangle for the grass. Whilst you're doing this, make sure that the length of the rectangles that you create exceed the length of the rectangle border that you see on the screen over here. Now go ahead and pause the video and you may start to design your own background sprites. Now that we're done with our first background sprite, the first thing that I'm going to do here is to rename our background sprite to background sprite 1. Now that it's done, let's get into some coding. To get back to our code, click on the code icon at the top left hand of the screen. Now to start off, remember that we'll always have to begin with the when green flag click block. Following that, we want to give our background sprite a good place to start. And to do so, we're going to be making use of our blue motion block, our go-to block. Now feel free to start your background sprite anywhere you wish. In my case, I'm going to be starting my background sprite more to the right of the screen such as its left edge hits somewhere near the middle of the screen. The current position of my background sprite would thus be 300, as you can see over here. And I'm going to now transfer this 300 into our go-to block. Now to give our sprite the moving effect, we want this sprite to be forever moving to the left. And to do so, we're going to first make use of our change x by block, which is a blue motion block. Now to make our background sprite move to the left, let's have our sprite change its x by -10. Now our background sprite will be moving to the left, but we want it to continue moving left forever. So to allow this, let's hit under our orange control blocks and pick out our forever block. By placing our change x by -10 block inside our forever block, we'll allow our sprite to forever move to the left. Now let's click on the green flag to test out our code. As you can see over here, the background sprite moves all the way to the left and stops where it cannot move anymore. This is the minimum X position of our background sprite, and we can see this number right over here. In my case, X being -508. So after the background sprite runs from the right to the left of the screen, we wanted to start over again from the right of the screen and have it run left again and again. To do this, we are going to be including an if-then block, which is an orange control block, and putting it inside our forever block. Next, we're going to try fill in this blank in our if-then block. To start us off, we're going to be making use of our green less than block. Now what we want is that if the X position of our sprite is less than -508, its leftmost position, then we are going to have it teleport back to the right of the screen. In other words, if our X position is less than -508, then we wanted to teleport it to the right. Now, instead of using -508 in this blank, I'll just be using -507, which is a number that's a little bigger than -508. And this is really just to make sure that everything less than -507 will be included in the condition. Now, to find the rightmost position of our sprite, what we can do is to drag it all the way to the right. Now, the furthest that I can drag it to at the moment seems to be about 508. So what we can do now is to use our go-to block, which is once again a blue motion block, and include it within our if-then block. So as you can see over here, 508 is also very similar to 507 that I've included in our green less than block. So what we can do here is to have it instead teleport to 507. And this is really just to make things a little neater. So now we can test out our code. And with that, we have completed the code for our first background sprite. And as you can see over here, we now have a background sprite that is able to travel from the right side of the screen to the left forever. And all that's left for us to do is to fill up the blank space left on our stage with another background sprite. Now, our second background sprite is going to move in the exact same way as our first. So to save us some time, we are going to be duplicating our first background sprite. So to do so, go ahead and bring your mouse pointer right over background sprite 1 and do a right click. This small little pop-up window like this should appear. And from here, all you want to do is just to click on the duplicate button and you'll get background sprite 2. So the first thing that I would do here is actually to rename my background sprite to background sprite 2. In this case, Scratch has already done it for me, and it's perfect. Now remember that we want the background sprite 2 to travel in the exact same way as background sprite 1. Just that it starts at a little bit of a different place so that it'll cover up the blank space that we saw on the stage just now. Now remember how I initially placed background sprite 1 such that its left edge almost hits the middle of my screen? Well, this position makes it much easier for me to position my second background sprite. So what I'm going to do now is to bring out my set X block and set it to the initial position of my background sprite 1. So in my case, it's going to be 300. And then I'm just going to go ahead and click on it to bring it to its initial position. So now we're going to go back into background sprite 2, and we're going to drag background sprite 2 such that it will line up directly with background sprite 1. And while I'm doing this, I want it to line up such that it overlaps just a little bit with background sprite 1. And now I have my X coordinate of background sprite 2, which is -253. And now what I'm going to do is to change its starting position, change the go-to block to -253. And this is really just to make sure that my second background sprite will always line up with its first. So let's run our codes a little bit and see if it works. And yep, it seems to be working perfectly. So now what I can do is just to unhide my dinosaur sprite and to bring back the code for my hurdles. And yeah, it seems to be working great. And there you go. We are now officially done with our moving backdrop. I hope that you've learned something with me today. Hit that like button if you have enjoyed this video, and click subscribe for more coding videos. Head down to the comment section down below to tell us what you think about this video. Thanks for watching, and until next time, bye-bye!